Have you ever smiled with someone, nodded along, laughed even, while something inside you quietly whispered, "This doesn't feel right"? We all have moments like that. Moments where a person's words say one thing, but their energy tells a different story. Moments where friendliness feels more like performance than presence. Where you walk away wondering if you were just spoken to or managed. In today's world, appearances carry weight. We're taught to be agreeable, to keep the peace, to maintain harmony even when something inside us is unsettled. We've been conditioned to believe that as long as someone smiles, they must be kind. As long as someone talks to you, they must care. But that's not always true. Stoicism urges us to look deeper. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." And part of that calm strength comes from the ability to see reality without illusion, to recognize what is, instead of clinging to what we wish were true. This video is not just about red flags, it's about clarity. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, and your time from people who wear friendliness as a mask, who engage not to connect but to control. Many of us have been in friendships or relationships where something always felt slightly off. Maybe they laughed at your jokes, but with a tone that felt like mockery. Maybe they offered you praise that left a bruise. Maybe they showed up when things were easy, but vanished when you truly needed them. You might have explained it away. They're just busy. They're joking. I'm being too sensitive. But what if you weren't? What if those little moments, those gut feelings, were your inner wisdom trying to protect you? Stoicism teaches us to align with truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. To live not in reaction but in reflection, and to choose relationships not based on appearances but on values, character, and integrity. At the Stoic Code, we believe clarity is kindness. That's why we create videos like this, to help you see more clearly, choose more wisely, and live more peacefully. If you find value in this kind of reflection, we invite you to subscribe and join a growing community of thoughtful people who seek strength through self-awareness and calm through principle. This video will help you do just that. We're going to explore the hidden signs of toxic friendships masked by politeness and how to reclaim your peace by identifying what does not serve you. In today's video, we delve into a crucial topic that often goes unnoticed: the signs that someone may dislike you while putting on a facade of friendliness. Recognizing these subtle yet toxic behaviors is essential for maintaining healthy relationships in our lives. Many of us have experienced friendships that seem supportive on the surface, but are riddled with underlying negativity. Understanding these signs can empower you to navigate your social circles more effectively and protect your emotional well-being. It's important to acknowledge that not everyone who smiles at you has your best interests at heart. By identifying these red flags, you can make informed decisions about who to invest your time and energy in. This discussion aims to be honest and eye-opening, shedding light on the complexities of human interactions. We often find ourselves in situations where we question the authenticity of someone's intentions. Are they genuinely supportive, or are they masking their true feelings? This video encourages you to reflect on your own experiences with friendships and consider whether you've encountered individuals who exhibit these toxic traits. It's not always easy to confront the reality that someone may not truly care for you, especially when they present a friendly demeanor. However, recognizing these signs can lead to healthier relationships and a more positive social environment. As we explore this topic, think about your past interactions and whether you've noticed any behaviors that align with what we discuss. Have you ever felt a sense of discomfort around someone who seemed to be pretending to like you? Perhaps they engage in backhanded compliments, or maybe their body language suggests disinterest despite their words. These are just a few examples of the signs we'll cover. By the end of this video, we hope you'll have a clearer understanding of how to identify these toxic behaviors and the importance of surrounding yourself with genuine individuals who uplift you rather than bring you down. It's time to take a closer look at the dynamics of your friendships and assess whether they contribute positively to your life. Remember, recognizing these signs is not about fostering paranoia, but rather about empowering yourself to cultivate relationships that are authentic and fulfilling. So let's embark on this journey together, and by the end, you'll be equipped with the knowledge to discern true friendships from those that may be harmful. Join us as we uncover the truth behind these interactions and learn how to foster healthier connections in our lives. Number 1. Humor that hurts. Some of the deepest wounds are delivered with a smile. They arrive dressed in laughter, wrapped in playful tones, and presented under the banner of "just kidding." But beneath the surface, there's often a sharp edge, a quiet message that something about you isn't okay. Constant jokes about your flaws aren't always innocent. When the same traits are targeted repeatedly, your appearance, your intelligence, your habits, they begin to feel less like humor and more like passive aggression. Playful teasing, when mutual and occasional, can be a sign of closeness. It can bond people together, creating shared moments of levity. But when one person becomes the constant punchline, the balance breaks, and that imbalance often reveals deeper truths. Let me share a personal moment that made this real for me. I once had a friend who frequently joked about my clumsiness. Every time I dropped something or forgot a detail, it became material for another funny remark. At first, I laughed along. I wanted to be easygoing, to show I could take a joke. But as the months passed, something changed. I started hesitating before I spoke. I became overly careful with my movements. I noticed myself shrinking in their presence, trying not to give them more ammunition. That's when I realized I wasn't laughing anymore, I was enduring. And that's the key distinction. Laughter should be shared joy, not silent pain. If someone's jokes make you feel less than, if they leave a sting instead of a smile, it's time to pause and reflect. Why do they keep aiming at that one part of you? Is it insecurity? Is it a power play? Is it their way of keeping you in a certain place beneath them? Sometimes people joke to mask their own discomfort. Sometimes they do it to assert dominance. And sometimes they do it without realizing the harm they cause. But unintentional harm is still harm, and it's your right to name it. Ask yourself, do I genuinely feel safe and respected around this person? If the answer is no, it may be time to speak up, not in anger, but with clarity. Try saying, I know you're joking, but those comments are starting to wear on me. Can we steer the humor in a different direction? Their reaction will tell you everything. A true friend will pause, reflect, and shift. A toxic one will double down or dismiss your feelings entirely. And here's what Stoicism teaches us. What we allow, we encourage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Use that strength to set boundaries that protect your peace. You are not too sensitive. You are not overreacting. You are recognizing that respect should never come at the cost of dignity, even in laughter." Number 2, the sting of a compliment. It sounds like a compliment. It even looks like one. But when you hear it, you feel something twist inside you. A small sting, a pause, a moment of uncertainty. You look great for your age. I didn't think you could pull that off, but wow, I'm impressed. You're surprisingly articulate. These are not compliments. They are subtle digs dressed up to look like praise. They're called backhanded compliments, and they reveal more about the speaker than they do about you. Unlike open criticism, these remarks are hard to confront. If you respond negatively, you risk being told you're too sensitive or that you can't take a joke. But if you accept the compliment at face value, you betray your own intuition. You pretend it didn't hurt even when it did. That confusion is intentional. These compliments are often designed to disorient. They're about control, not kindness. They allow the speaker to criticize while maintaining plausible deniability. I remember a time when someone said to me, "I admire how confident you are, especially considering how quiet you used to be." It was meant to sound encouraging, but underneath it carried a message. "I didn't expect much from you." And that's the truth behind many backhanded compliments. They emerge when someone feels insecure about your growth, your success, your presence. Instead of lifting you up, they attempt to tether you to a smaller version of yourself, a version they're more comfortable with. Why do people do this? Often it's rooted in comparison. They see you evolving, and instead of addressing their discomfort, they disguise it as support. It's not that they want to acknowledge your progress, they want to remind you where you started, to keep you grounded in their eyes. But you don't have to accept that framing. Stoicism teaches us to interpret the world through clarity, not ego. As Epictetus reminds us, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The sting of a compliment doesn't lie in the words themselves, it lies in whether we absorb their intent without reflection. So what can you do? First, recognize the pattern. Are certain people always praising you with caveats, with subtle qualifiers that undermine their words? Are there compliments followed by laughter that doesn't feel light-hearted, or glances that seek reaction more than connection? Next, respond with presence. You don't need to lash out or retreat. A calm, grounded reply like "Thanks, I'm proud of what I've done" reclaims your power. Or if you feel brave, reflect the remark back, "That sounded a little backhanded. Was that your intention?" Their answer will be revealing. You deserve genuine praise. Words that celebrate you without comparison, without subtle put-downs, without surprise at your success. Praise that says, "Mumsi, you're doing well." Not, "I didn't expect this from you." Let your inner compass guide you. If a compliment makes you shrink, it's not a compliment. If it leaves you confused, it's not clarity. If it chips away at your self-worth, it's not kindness. Choose relationships where support isn't a performance. It's a posture of care, of presence, of true regard. Number 3, left out, left behind. You're scrolling through your feed and there it is. A photo of your friends laughing together somewhere you weren't invited. No explanation, no mention, just smiles, inside jokes, and the sinking realization that you were never part of the plan. That's the sting of social exclusion. It's quiet, indirect, and deeply personal. Sometimes exclusion isn't loud or obvious. It's subtle. You're not told you're not wanted. You're simply not thought of. Or worse, you're deliberately left out under the guise of oversight. And that kind of silence can speak louder than confrontation ever could. I remember the first time I truly felt that kind of rejection. A group of friends I considered close had been planning a small gathering for weeks. They talked about it in group chats, exchanged ideas, shared excitement. Except with me, I didn't find out until the photos went live. And even then, there were no apologies, just silence. It was a moment of deep self-reflection. I asked myself whether I had done something wrong, whether I was too much or not enough, whether my absence was an accident or intentional. And that's what social exclusion does. It plants doubt. It makes you question your place, your value, and sometimes even your worth. But here's the truth. Real friends don't make you wonder where you stand. They make space for you. They think of you. They care, not just in the good moments, but in the everyday decisions like who to include. Stoicism teaches us to observe reality without embellishment or denial. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken about what is good." Exclusion isn't always driven by cruelty. Sometimes it's thoughtlessness, sometimes it's fear. But whatever the cause, it reveals something crucial: how that person or that group sees you. If you often find yourself on the outside looking in, don't rush to assume blame. Instead, pay attention to the pattern. Are you consistently left out? Are your contributions dismissed, your presence overlooked? If so, it's time to speak your truth, calmly, clearly, not to create conflict, but to seek clarity. You might say, "I noticed I wasn't invited to the last few events. That left me feeling disconnected. Is there something we need to talk about?" Their response will show you everything you need to know. If they care, they'll reflect. If they deflect, minimize, or make you feel guilty for bringing it up, then the exclusion runs deeper than a scheduling error. The people in your life should not make you question your value. They should reflect it back to you. Surround yourself with those who notice when you're missing, not just when you're present. With those who check in, who include, who care in quiet, consistent ways. You were never meant to beg for belonging. You were meant to stand where you are seen. Number 4, always busy but only with you. You've sent the text. Want to catch up this weekend? The reply is polite, even warm, but it's another no. They're swamped. Maybe next time, they say. You give them the benefit of the doubt. Again, after all, life gets hectic. Work piles up. People get tired, but later that day, your screen lights up. Photos, stories, tagged locations. They had the time, just not for you. This is a quiet truth many of us don't want to face. If someone is always busy when it comes to you, they are telling you, without words, how little they value the connection. Real friendship is not about constant access. It's about reciprocal investment. A friend doesn't need to see you every day to prove they care, but they do show up. They make an effort. They respond not out of obligation, but because your presence matters to them. I had a friend I admired deeply. They were charismatic, always surrounded by people, constantly on the move. Every time I reached out, the timing was wrong. Deadlines, burnout, family, I accepted it. I told myself, they're just overwhelmed. It's not personal. But weeks turned to months. Every time I paused my effort, the silence grew louder. They never reached out first, never followed up, never asked, "How are you?" unless I initiated it. That's when the realization hit. I wasn't part of their inner world. I was an option, never a priority. The Stoics would ask us to look at this without judgment, only awareness. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want to be someone who cultivates meaningful relationships, you cannot stay tangled in ones that only flow one way. Ask yourself hard questions. Why am I holding on to this friendship? Am I afraid of losing them, or of facing the truth that I already have? When someone consistently makes time for others but not for you, they're communicating something essential, where you stand. And it's not cruel to acknowledge that. It's courageous, because letting go doesn't mean you hate them. It means you finally stopped ignoring the imbalance. You finally started choosing yourself. Still, you may choose to speak up. And if you do, speak with clarity, not blame. Say, "I've noticed I've been the one initiating most of our connection lately. I value you, but I want to know, do you still want this friendship to grow?" That question is a mirror. If they care, they'll reflect. If not, they'll deflect. It's better to lose someone who doesn't want to show up than to keep waiting in a space they never intended to return to. Friendship, like all things worth having, thrives on intention. Without it, even the fondest memories fade into quiet absence. Let them be busy, let them go, and open space for those who choose you freely without needing a reminder. Number 5, the silence of no touch. There's a language that doesn't use words, but speaks volumes. It's found in a hand on your shoulder, a hug that lingers, a playful nudge. It's the quiet communication of physical touch. And when that language disappears, it says something too. Maybe you've noticed it. A friend who once embraced you without hesitation now keeps their distance. Where there used to be warmth, there's caution. Where there was once closeness, there's now a visible barrier. This change is rarely loud. It's subtle, gradual, but undeniable. I remember a friend who used to greet me with a hug every time we met, not out of formality, but as a gesture of connection. It was comforting, familiar, human, but after a while that changed. No more hugs, no accidental touches. Even sitting beside me seemed to make them uncomfortable. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're tired. But deep down, I felt the difference, and the silence surrounding that shift became its own message. Physical distance isn't always about dislike. It can stem from personal discomfort, stress, trauma, or emotional exhaustion, and we must honor boundaries, ours and theirs. But when this shift happens without explanation, and especially within a close friendship, it creates confusion and sometimes even pain. Touch is biologically significant. Studies show it reduces stress, releases oxytocin, and reinforces trust. It's one of the oldest ways we communicate safety and belonging. When it vanishes, we may not understand why, but we feel it. The Stoics teach us to interpret behavior without rushing to judgment. Instead of labeling the other person as cold or cruel, ask, what has changed in our connection? Are they protecting themselves or withdrawing from me? You can explore this with compassion. You might say, I've noticed we don't connect physically like we used to. I miss that closeness. Is everything okay between us? That one question can open a door to honest dialogue, or at least clarity. Sometimes avoidance has nothing to do with you. Sometimes it does. But either way, awareness frees you from the weight of uncertainty. Pay attention to the full picture. Has the emotional tone shifted too? Are conversations more formal? Has laughter become rare? Touch is just one thread in the fabric of connection, but when it frays, it often signals deeper unraveling. And in that space, you must choose how to respond. You can hold space, you can ask questions, but you also have permission to acknowledge what you need. If closeness matters to you, you are allowed to seek it. To say, this distance feels painful. To know when someone's silence is no longer sacred, it's avoidant. Friendship should not leave you guessing whether your presence still matters. If someone no longer reaches for your hand, your hug, your shared comfort, take note. As Epictetus wrote, seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. Accepting what is real is not resignation, it is freedom, and in that freedom you can choose to move toward those who mirror your warmth, your sincerity, your presence. Number 6, absent in the storm. It's easy to show up when the sun is out, when life feels light, when things are going well and laughter flows freely. That's when friends appear in abundance. But when the clouds roll in, when grief, illness, anxiety, or hardship arrive, many disappear. Not with conflict, just with absence. You reach out during a difficult moment, a vague reply, or none at all. You need someone to talk to. Silence. You try one more time, still nothing. And that's when it hits you. They were only present for the version of you that was easy to love. Fair weather friends. They're the ones who celebrate your victories but retreat from your pain. They admire your strength but can't hold space for your vulnerability. They disappear when the celebration ends and presence is no longer convenient. I've lived this during a season of deep personal struggle. Overwhelmed by stress and uncertainty, I reached out to a few friends hoping for a simple check-in, some reassurance. Nothing, no calls, no questions, just blank space. But the same people would quickly resurface the moment I posted something positive. Something they could applaud or share. That contrast was crushing, but also clarifying. It revealed who saw me as a full human being and who only wanted a curated version of my life. True friends show up in the storm. They don't need to fix you. They don't always have the right words, but they're there. They hold the silence. They witness the pain. They remind you that you are not alone. The Stoics teach us to stay anchored in truth, even when it's painful. As Seneca wrote, misfortune is virtue's opportunity. Hardship doesn't just test our character. It reveals the character of those around us. So when life breaks open, when the losses come, when the ground shifts, look at who stays, who reaches out, who checks in, not to get something, but simply to be with you. That is your circle. The rest are just passing shadows. You don't need an audience for your highlight reel. You need a small, steadfast circle for your darkest nights. And if someone's absence hurts, you're allowed to feel that. You're allowed to grieve it. But don't beg for support. Don't plead for comfort. Let their silence speak. Then choose to invest in the ones who stayed, the ones who picked up the phone, the ones who listened when your voice trembled, the ones who didn't look away. Because when the storm comes, you don't need a crowd. You need a few hands, steady and sure, holding you up against the wind. Number 7, gossip as a weapon. There's a kind of betrayal that doesn't happen face to face. It happens in whispers, in group chats, in quiet conversations where your name is spoken, but your presence is not. Gossip is more than idle talk. It's a currency of control, a way to elevate one person's image by diminishing someone else's. And when it comes from someone you trust, it cuts deeper than any overt insult ever could. You confided in them. You shared something personal, a moment of pain, a story not yet healed. And later you find out they've passed it on. Not to protect you, not to support you, but to entertain someone else. I've been there. A friend I trusted once shared details of a conversation we had, details that were sacred to me, with others who had no business hearing them. But what hurt most wasn't just the breach of trust. It was the way they twisted the story. It was no longer my truth. It was their narrative, filtered through their insecurities, shared for their benefit. When someone gossips about you, it's a violation of consent. It's the theft of context. And most importantly, it reveals something fundamental. They are not a safe place. Gossip erodes the very foundation of friendship, trust. Without trust, there can be no depth, no vulnerability, no real connection. Everything becomes performance. Everything becomes guarded. The Stoics were clear about this. Epictetus said, "If evil be spoken of you and it be true, correct yourself. If it be a lie, laugh at it. But even so, you are not obligated to keep people in your life who use your truth as their entertainment. If someone gossips to you about others, they likely gossip about you too. It's a pattern, a habit of deflection. Often it stems from insecurity. They lack depth, so they stir drama. They lack peace, so they disrupt yours. You don't have to confront every gossiper, but you do need to decide who gets access to your truth, who gets the unfiltered version of you, who has earned the right to hear your story without turning it into a story for others. And if you choose to confront it, do it from strength. Say, what we share stays between us. That trust matters to me. If they dismiss that, they've told you everything you need to know. Your reputation is not built on what people say behind your back. It's built on how you carry yourself in their absence. But even so, you deserve relationships that guard your name when you're not in the room. Let gossip be your compass. If someone spreads it, step away. If someone protects you in your absence, move closer. Your peace is sacred. Don't leave it in the hands of those who treat your life like a headline. If you find these insights valuable and want to cultivate more authentic, Stoic-aligned relationships, consider subscribing to the Stoic Code. Join a thoughtful community where we reflect, grow, and walk the path of wisdom together. As we reflect on these subtle signs of masked dislike, let us return to the essence of Stoic wisdom. True friendship, like virtue, is revealed not in words, but in actions, intentions, and the consistency of care. Every example we explored, whether it's a joke that cuts too deep, silence in moments of need, or the betrayal of gossip, reminds us to guard our peace and prioritize what aligns with our values. Start small, notice patterns, ask honest questions, choose people who reflect back your best self, and release those who quietly erode your confidence. This is not about judgment. It's about discernment. As Epictetus taught, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the Stoic Code and be part of a community rooted in clarity, strength, and shared growth. Comment below with your experiences and let your reflections guide someone else toward insight. Until next time, be well, be wise, and walk your path with calm conviction.